But
As far as independence,
in this area, independence guys locally,
no.
will it ever happen?
I don't know.
Never
Not
in our
like that.
lifetime.
It'll never happen again like that.
Do you-
Because
and-
it was territories back then,
Okay.
and everybody watched that television, and they watched
Gotcha.
that. There was no cable. We couldn't see what was going on in other states, up north, up out west, out east. You know, you couldn't see it. All we knew what was going on. Right? We got 3, 5, and 10, channel 15, 4 channels. That's all we got back then. You know.
So
And-
you think people are just oversaturated with information now, as far as being smart to the business and
Well,
having?
internet, internet. Everybody knows what's going on.
That's it. The
It's entertainment.
territories,
Yeah.
the territories, they pulled the best talent from the area. If you weren't in that top talent, you didn't work unless you came in as a job guy. You know, and they took the cream of the crop, and that was the only product that was available. And you know, to take every wrestling mark, you spread them out nowadays over 17 half-ass shows, and instead of having one good quality show, you know, it's just the marks are so stretched out now. Like I say, there's a show on every block nowadays, you know. Any jabron that's got a ring, he's all of a sudden a promoter, you know.
Yeah, there's plenty of people out there that I think own the ring and having the money to run 6 shows. Example, Tom Carter. He's never haven't really shit on anybody yet, but why shitting? Might as well shit on the worst one. Tom Carter. I remember him. He calls himself a promoter this day, and I think he may have ran 2 or 3 events that had wrestlers there. I won't call them shows, where he had enough money. He had borrowed from his mom, I think $300, and that was his payroll for the show. And he calls me and wants me to bring my ring 3 hours away. People just like, I don't want to give Tom too much props by even just mention his name. But there's plenty as far as that. Bobby Wilson.
Insert dickhead here.
Bobby Wilson. I mean, he's. I mean, if you know him, and if you don't know him, then what I'm say doesn't matter. But if you know him, then you probably know what I would say.
You already know.
And there's the hardcore shows. James Rimmer runs, which you know, no
Mr. Hardcore.
If I ever do another hardcore
Mossy,
match
Mossy.
live, that'll be one too damn soon.
And I don't have a problem personally, but I guess my biggest problem is I've had a lot of heat with people, pretty much from the early going. Is one thing one of my first teachers taught me was, you know, be honest. Now he was hated for being honest. I didn't understand that, and you know, now I kind of do. I mean, but the thing is I can see Jester. You know, and we're friends, and he want me to be honest with him. But if he say, "What do you think of my match?" I said, "Well, it fucking sucked." And he can take that because he was brought in the same way I was.
Right. Well, you would expect that from your friends.
Yeah, but the thing about it is I figure when someone asks me about their match, I'm gonna just tell them, "Do you want to hear the good? Do you want to hear the bad? Do you want me to be honest with you?" And usually, most of them aren't happy. They only want to hear you say what they did good. Like, did you see my Hurricanrana I did? You know, no, I was too busy. I was too busy wondering why the fuck you were doing a Hurricanrana.
In his first,
especially
first
when your opponent
lockup.
just gave you 3.
Yeah.
But you know, just stretched out long. I mean, there's one good wrestler now down there on the Gulf Coast, probably per 100. I mean, they just has a clue.
You think the odds are? I mean, you think the numbers are that big? You think? Because I mean, how many guys do you think locally in our little 300-mile?
Tiger Lee counts.
I'll tell you the ones that I think are the most notably best workers.
Yeah, like the top 5.
And it has nothing to do with the personality. I would list John Saxon, which
definitely
I've been up and down the road with, back and forth. We've had issues, but I mean, at this current point,
Who haven't you had issues with, dude?
Hey, heat secret.
not too many.
What was that? What's your 25 list?
Yeah, I had
What's your 25
25 lists of the worst wrestlers in the area.
No, the shittiest wrestlers in the area.
Yes,
And then
correct the title.
It
on
got
that.
so much attention. I think it had 1,000 views in like 3 weeks, so I decided to make 25 more.
That's 50 shitty.
And I could have gone on to 200 and 300, but
We'll go back to the positive. Like you mentioned, John
positive,
Saxon.
John Saxon sticks out as one of the best talents in the area. As far as, you know, personality-wise, everybody has a familiar opinion of him. But I mean, honestly, I think now, he's great to work for. I like working for him. I won't say what promotions. I won't give that shit away. But I like working for him. He's very professional, and he speaks the truth, too, which kind of made me have an understanding with him to a degree, because it used to be, I'd be like, fuck's this guy's problem, man? And but you know,
Yeah, he's just always been brutally honest.
I think me and him both just finally got each other because I mean the last year or so he's been a great guy and great worker. And then I would say Steve Anthony, but he's not really in this area much anymore.
Yeah.
I heard that he's been training with Harley Race and
Yeah,
Pro
Harley
Wrestling
Race.
Pro Wrestling
He's,
Noah.
I've actually heard that he's getting maybe getting some time over at
Japan.
overseas in
Because
Japan.
Harley Race has a working relationship with Pro Wrestling Noah.
He has
And
more
Yeah.
than everybody, yeah.
Pro Wrestling Noah sells out the Tokyo Dome.
And you know what?
Yeah.
I tell you what, if there's a guy that deserves it,
Oh, yeah.
there is not a guy that deserves it any more than he does
Yeah,
right there. That
100%.
is the hardest working guy that on the Gulf Coast.
He's so good.
Bar
I
none.
would say he's made in a lab.
Yeah,
Yeah, he's a
engineered
he's a
for
robot.
wrestling. Yeah.
I
Fucking
think
phenomenal.
And you know, I mean, he's still young, and he's had what, 15 years in the business.
Oh, yeah.
And he's still well into his 20s. You know, he started really young. You know,
14 was
14,
his
yeah.
first match.
And you know, that's man. You know, and he's worked his ass off.
He's a good boy, pretty boy.
And I was
I'm
fortunate.
pretty boy.
I was fortunate enough to actually be there through a part of his progress, as pretty much where mine declined at when we both started going down to. We got invited to go down to TNA to work, and we got down there, and it so happened the person that got us down there was Bill Behrens. And as soon as we get there, the first thing we hear is Bill Behrens just put in his notice. Here's some security shirts.
Yeah.
And
So you ended up working security instead of working a match.
security. Granted, they put us in good angles. I mean, we were on. You know, we were an angle.
Y'all did the red shirt security thing, didn't you?
Well,
Or what?
they weren't
was
red shirt security, but it was. We come out there. We had to do the deal where Jarrett Nash and Hall and DDP and all them and their feud and whatever. It was really kind of getting. Orlando kind of became home to it. You know, about a year
Yeah.
after they left Nashville, and we were down there and we all together. I think we were on 8 episodes doing security, and always with you know, at top hot angles. So at least we're getting a little. And yeah, the money thing though.
Okay.
There's nothing to talk about. I mean,
They took care of you?
no.
No, not at all.
There's nothing
Oh,
to say
okay.
positive
He's
about
like,
the
there's
money.
nothing to say about it.
Because the
There
thing
was
is
nothing.
there's
You can't say anything
there's
about
thousands of
nothing.
workers that would just love to go. And the thing about it is it's hard enough to get a job doing security there for them just because of you got to know who you know. God bless. You got to know who you know, and I
Watch
mean,
his liver deteriorate.
and there's just a line of workers that would want to who would take the security job for free.
Thank
so
you.
why pay this guy? You know.
Sure.
That's a whole nother thing with the wrestling. You know, you got so many guys that are just, one of the biggest things that Percy Paul Bearer always put on the students is that, you know, if you're willing, if you value yourself, as far as if you go to book yourself out somewhere and you will work for free, that's exactly what you're worth.
Right.
Is nothing. Because if you don't value your work whatsoever, to think that you don't have to be or you shouldn't be paid for what you're doing, because this is still always a business. It always has that word in it. Every shoot interview you hear guys say the business. Well, guess what? A business makes money. You know, I ain't never been in a damn business where it was just my goal to go out there and give the, you know, I tell you what,
Yeah,
I wish prostitutes were in that kind of business. I'd be doing jobs all day. You know, just, I'm not in it to make money. I'm just out here to do it. Thanks.
Rock it.
I'll do it
Don't
for
suck a
free.
dick.
You know, I'm just training. Thanks. You know, and
Where's that
all
school?
these guys are willing to go. They're willing to drive 600 miles and work for free. You know, and if that's what you value your work at, you know, that's exactly what you should be paid. That's exactly, you know, because it's such bullshit. Have some, have some actual,
Pride.
decency, pride. Yeah, exactly, pride in what you're doing. You know, it's an art form. It takes a unique individual to be able to do this business.
Absolutely.
And right there, the next thing up from going to drive to work for nothing is when your guarantee is we'll have to see how we draw.
Yeah.
Or hot
Yeah,
dogs.
amen.
Green River.
If you do not have your payroll before the first bell rings, do not book me on your show. I do not want